Alexa, please turn on fan.
Sure. What do you want to turn on?
Turn on my fan.
Okay.
Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and happy new year. So this is the first video I'm making this year, and I intentionally waited this long because I want to load this video with a lot of information that you guys are going to enjoy. Now, in case you're wondering why I have all these devices in front of me, that is because today I want to talk about home automation, and I also want to talk about the current home automation setup I have in my house at the moment, right? So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so I think it makes sense to start with what home automation is, and also the difference between home automation, smart home, IoT, and remote monitoring. Right, these terms are all similar, but I'm going to tell you the differences between all of them. So let's start with home automation. Now, the word automation itself means to make something automatic. So you are converting something from a manual procedure or a manual process to an automatic process, right? Now, for instance, this fan behind me is currently turned off, right? And if I want to do it the normal way, if I want to turn it on the normal way, the manual way, all I have to do is to stand up and turn on the wall switch that the fan is connected to, or the wall socket the fan is connected to, right? Now, that's a manual way of doing things, right? However, I can automate that process. For instance, I can say, Alexa, please turn on fan.
Sure. What do you want to turn on?
Turn on my fan.
Okay.
And now the fan is turned on. So that's simply what automation is all about, converting a manual process to an automatic process. Alexa, turn off the fan.
Okay.
Now the fan has gone off. So that is automation, taking a manual process and making it automatic. So home automation is basically doing the same thing but doing it in your house. So all the things that you would manually do in your house, like turn on your fan, like turn on your TV, change the brightness of your lights, close your door, open your door, all these things are basically manual processes that can be converted into automatic process, right? And when you convert this automatic process, it becomes home automation. Now, what is the difference between home automation, smart home, and IoT? So, smart home is basically the same thing with home automation. It's simply a home or a house that is filled up with smart devices, right? That allows you to automate things in your house. Home automation goes beyond turning on and off devices, right? Home automation could also mean that your fan comes up automatically when the temperature is high, or your fan goes off automatically when your temperature is low, right? That is also automation, right? Because it means that your house is able to make decisions based on some certain condition without even you knowing, right? So all these things together, put together, can be referred to as home automation or smart home. They are basically the same term or similar terms, right? Now, IoT on the other hand simply means the interconnection of devices, right? IoT stands for Internet of Things, right? And what it simply means is the ability for machines or devices, right, to communicate with each other, to share information, most of the time over the internet or over a local area network, right? So the ability for my fan to talk to my TV, or this smart display slash smart speaker to talk to my TV, is IoT, right? So IoT is a big part of home automation because in most cases, these smart devices in your house are communicating with each other using IoT technology, right? Now, the last word, which is remote monitoring. Remote monitoring is basically the ability to monitor or control a device over the internet without being physically present in in the location where that device is. And from the definition of this, you can see that this is definitely almost the same thing as IoT, right? So remote monitoring is just basically having the ability to monitor a device, from a far distance without being physically present, and this is possible via IoT, right? So this, you can see that these terms are very, very similar to each other, and sometimes they can be interchanged with each other. So let's talk about my home automation setup or my smart home setup. So for me, I use an hybrid system, meaning I use two different platforms for my home automation, right? I use what we call Home Assistant, and I also use this Amazon Echo device for my voice command. So I'm trying to combine the best of both worlds. And with the Amazon Echo Show 8, which is what I have right in front of me here, I'm able to have access to voice command. And this is actually a very interesting feature to have in your smart home, right? Now, but Home Assistant is actually the major platform I use to connect my device and to add devices to my network. So now the question is, what is Home Assistant? Now, let's start with Home Assistant, the hardware and the software itself. Now, Home Assistant is actually an open source project, and as a matter of fact, I think it's one of the biggest open source projects currently at the moment, right? So a lot of people are actually contributing to it, and it's a very, very flexible system. So what is Home Assistant? Home Assistant is basically a software, a program that allows you to monitor and control your smart devices in the house, and it comes with a lot of interesting features like a very interactive dashboard and a very nice UI, right? So one of the interesting things I really love about Home Assistant is the interface, the dashboard, right? It gives you a very wonderful dashboard that you would not even get on this Amazon Echo device. Home Assistant is actually an open source project. It's a do-it-yourself project, right? And there's a lot of contributors that are actually contributing to it, and that makes it very interesting and flexible, right? Anybody can actually go online, download Home Assistant, and set up the hardware, install the software, and get started with it, right? As long as you have some little bit of experience when it comes to hardware engineering. The way home automation works is that in most cases you need a hub. Now, a hub is like a sensor device or a particular hardware that is in your house, right, that can connect to smart devices. So let's say I want to use a smart light in my house. When I bring the smart light into my house, the hub is what connects to the smart lights, right? Identify the smart lights, and from the hub you can rename the device and control the smart lights, right? If I want to add a door sensor to my home automation ecosystem, it is a hub that will connect to the door sensor, and from the hub I can rename the device and control the device. So the hub is like, an hardware or a system, because it combines both hardware and software, and that allows you to like interconnect these devices as a single ecosystem, right? Now there are various options, right? You can actually use this Amazon Echo Show as your hub in your house, right? It's actually good enough, right? You can use this, and it uses Wi-Fi to communicate with Wi-Fi devices. Or you can go for things like Smart Things Hub, which is a product of Samsung. There's also the Google Nest, which is a product of Google. And there are several hubs out there, right? But for me, I decided to go with Home Assistant. And the reason why is because I'm an engineer. I like to do things myself, right? I like something that is very flexible, that gives me the ability to expand its future. And with Home Assistant, you get just that, right? Now, the way the system is actually designed, you can actually design or code new features into Home Assistant. Now, for you to set up Home Assistant in your house, you need a kind of computer that runs the software, right? So you could actually run Home Assistant on your laptop and turn your laptop to a smart home hub. You could run Home Assistant on a desktop, but those two options I just mentioned is actually very expensive and doesn't really make sense, because now you have to think of how you want to power your laptop or your desktop 24/7, because without the hub, the smart devices in your house are useless. Now, so in most cases, what people do is they use a single board computer, which is similar to what I have in my hand right now. And so single board computer is basically a very small computer that is cheap and doesn't take it so much power, right? So you can install Home Assistant there and use that as your home automation hub. Now, for me, I am using a hardware called Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4, right? You can actually use any Raspberry Pi for Home Assistant. You can use the Raspberry Pi 3, which is what I have here, and this is going to work fine. You can use the Raspberry Pi Compute Module, right? So for me, I'm using a combination of Raspberry Pi Compute Module and this IO board from Big Tree Tech. So so the way it works is that this is actually the Raspberry Pi Compute Module. This is on the tutorial video, right? So I'm just going to briefly explain how these things connect to each other, right? I might probably make a video for a much more elaborate explanation, right? But basically, this is the main computer that I'm using to run my Home Assistant, and as you can see, it's a very small device, right? This is referred to as a system or module. Now, this device has 4 GB of RAM and 8 GB of EMCC storage. However, I am not using the EMCC storage, right? I'm using an external SD card here to run the operating system for my compute module. Ordinarily, you cannot use the compute module. You need an IO board. Now, with an IO board, you get to be able to connect IO devices to the compute module, like an external flash drive, a keyboard, a mouse, and you can use the compute module as a regular computer. So for me, I'm using this IO board that is manufactured by a company called Big Tree Tech. I'm going to leave descriptions if you're interested in buying this hardware, right? So this is a much more complex way to go about this, right? The best way would just be to buy a Raspberry Pi 4 single board computer or a Raspberry Pi 3 single board computer, but I bought this for a reason. With the combination of this compute module 4 and this IO board from Big Tree Tech, you're actually very good to go. You can go ahead and install the Home Assistant OS image into this device, and you can start adding smart devices into your home automation ecosystem via the Home Assistant dashboard, which I'm going to show you guys shortly. Now, however, there are some smart devices out there that do not use Wi-Fi for communication, right? Because if you're going to add with this setup, if you're going to add a smart device to this setup, it has to be a Wi-Fi or a Wi-Fi device, right? A Wi-Fi smart device. Now, because I wanted to experiment with other kind of technology like MQTT, ESP Home, and Zigbee devices, right? I also bought this Zigbee dongle, which allows me to connect to Zigbee devices. So with this dongle attached to my Home Assistant hardware, I can now expand connections to Zigbee devices. So with this setup, I'm able to control Zigbee devices and Wi-Fi devices. Now, the way it works is that once you set up Home Assistant to your house and connect the hardware to your router, now Home Assistant connects to your network and creates a web server that can be accessed from any device with a browser in your house. What I mean is that if Home Assistant is up and working fine, you can go to your phone browser and then go to the IP address of the Home Assistant, and then you are in the dashboard of the Home Assistant. Or you can go to your laptop, go to your Chrome or whatever browser you're using, and enter the IP address of the Home Assistant in your browser, and you have access to the Home Assistant dashboard, right? So let me show you guys how that works. So for me, I have an Airtel router in my house here, and you can see that the connected devices shows that I have a device called Home Assistant, right? And this is the IP address here. So all I need to do is just to copy this IP address, go to my browser, and paste the IP address with ports 8123, and this is going to take me to my Home Assistant dashboard. And now you can see that so when you freshly install Home Assistant, it automatically detects all the devices in your house, the Wi-Fi devices and the Zigbee devices if you have a Zigbee dongle connected like I do, right? And you can come to the settings here and manage those devices, rename the devices, and do some other things, right? Now so the dashboard here, which is the overview, gives you the ability to use some very pretty nice icon to control these devices. Now you can actually edit this dashboard, you can change this dashboard, you can add a lot of things to this dashboard. That's what I love Home Assistant. You don't have to make it this simple, you can make it even more complex than this, right? You have the ability to change things and mix things up, right? But however, I'm trying to keep it simple for now, right? So as you can see in my dashboard here, I have my sitting room temperature, which is coming from a device that I actually built from scratch myself using ESP. If you check my previous videos on Shade, you would see information about this particular device. I also have my TV RGB, which is basically a port in my smart power strip or smart socket, which I also built from scratch myself. So behind me I actually have like a smart extension that I built myself, that's my TV is plugged to, my TV RGB is plugged to, and my living room fan is plugged to. So those three devices are coming from one device, right? I also have my left lights and my right lights, which are basically like my side lights in my sitting room here, and I'm going to show you these things shortly. I have other devices in the network. So if I want to turn off my TV, for instance, all I need to do is just to click on this, and I'm sure my TV has gone off now, right? And I can also turn on the TV back by just clicking on this button, and after some while the TV is going to come up back, right? So we're just clicking on the devices on the dashboard here. I can control my devices. Now this is what Home Assistant gives you. It gives you this nice dashboard, right? And Home Assistant also has, there's also an app on the App Store or Play Store for Home Assistant. If you download the app, automatically the app is going to identify the Home Assistant in your network and connect to it. And from that app, you can also do the same thing I just did, right? All right, so that is basically what you get with Home Assistant. This nice dashboard that can be viewed from your phone or from your laptop or from a tab. So what people mostly do is that they have a tab that this dashboard is being displayed on, and they put that tab somewhere in their house, right? Which is a very nice way to go about it. Now, ordinarily, you don't get voice command or voice control on Home Assistant. It's not something you get out of the box, right? But there's a way to go about it by configuring and writing some scripts. And there's so many ways to go about it, right? But you don't get that. So let's talk about the smart devices I have on my network. And the favorite one, should I say my favorite one currently, right? Because I'm definitely going to have more favorites in the future, right? But currently, my favorite device on my network is this smart bulb or smart light that I got from AliExpress for $10. I got two of it, and it came in like in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, right? And this is from a company called Moes. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. MOES, right? And it's actually a popular company in the home automation ecosystem, right? Moes, Tuya, and some other very recognized trusted devices, right? But this is from most, right? And this is not a Wi-Fi light. This is a Zigbee light, right? So if I don't have a Zigbee dongle connected to my Home Assistant hardware, I can't use this, right? And that's one of the interesting thing about Home Assistant. You can easily add that to it. Now with the Amazon Echo Show 8, it doesn't support Zigbee device, except you want to add the device via a Zigbee hub, which is another long story, but we're not going into that, right? Now this is a Zigbee device. It means I can directly communicate with it with my Home Assistant, because my Home Assistant is compatible with Zigbee device, right? Now this bulb offers 3 features that I really enjoy. Now the first one is the ability to control the brightness, and I want to show you guys that shortly. The second one is that you can control the temperature, like you can make the lights warm or cold, right? And the last one is that you can change the color, like literally you can change the color of this light to any color. So let me show you guys that. It's actually very interesting. Now this light is currently the right light, and it's currently turned off, right? So if I click on my Home Assistant dashboard here on the right light, it comes up. Now you see that it's showing a blue light, right? Now however, if I come here and click on it here, you can see I have this color palette where I can select any color. So I can select red, it turns red. I can select white, it becomes white. I can select green, it becomes green. Like literally you can select any color in this palette and it changes to that color. Now aside from that, you can control the brightness. As you can see here, you can make it dim, you can make it brighter. Now finally, you can also control the temperature, which is like from cold, which is like, I think this is like the brightest, to this, right? So this controlling the temperature gives you like the brightest form of the lights, right? So but you can control if you want it to look warm or you want it to look cold, which is pretty interesting. So I have 2 of these, and I use them as my side lights in my living room. I plan to get more and put them in my rooms also, but it's very, very interesting. Now the next set of devices that I have in my network are actually devices that I made myself from scratch. So if you're interested in having more information about that, you can check my previous videos on Shade. And so I have a smart extension or a smart power strip that I made with ESP that has 3 ports, and that is where I have my TV, my fan, and the RGB strip behind my TV plug too. And that is why I can control those devices from the dashboard here. So for instance, I don't know if you guys can see this clearly, but I'm going to turn off the TV RGB. I don't know if you noticed that, or what I'm going to do is let's see, but now I can also turn it back. Yeah, so if it might not be so obvious right now because I have a lot of bright lights here. However, I'm currently controlling the RGB behind my TV. Now I can also control my center light. Of course, you might not notice that also because I have a lot of bright lights here. I can also turn on my fan from here. And I can also turn it off from here. Now, aside from that power strip, I also have a door sensor I built myself using ESP, and I have that connected to my main door. And because my main door is currently closed, you can see that it says close at the side of the screen. Right? If I open the door, it's going to show open. Now, also, the door sensor also has a temperature sensor inbuilt, and that is why I can see the temperature of my sitting room right now. So, however, there are thousands and hundreds of thousands of smart devices out there, right? Just ensure that whatever one you're buying is something that's compatible with your hub, right? With Home Assistant, you get compatibility with a lot of devices, especially when you have a Zigbee dongle attached. So most Wi-Fi devices are going to work with Home Assistant, and Zigbee devices most of the time works with the Zigbee dongle. And there is also a smart plug here that I also made from scratch myself with ESP also. And trust me, these things are actually not so difficult to make anyways. I probably might make videos on how to make these things yourself, but sometimes the reason why I actually decide to make these things myself instead of just buying smart plug is sometimes it's just because I can't be patient enough to wait for 3 weeks to wait for devices to come from Amazon or AliExpress. So I just like, since I have some of these devices at home, why not just components at home, right? Why not just make them myself, right? And also a very good way to learn embedded system, which is what I do professionally, right? So yes, I have the temperature sensor, the power strip, and other things that I made myself in combination with these smart lights in my house. Now, let us talk about Amazon Echo Show 8, which is the smart display slash smart speaker that I have in my house that gives me the ability to use voice command. But before I do that, let me switch off this light in front of me. Okay, so this is something I got recently, and I actually got this because I wanted to make my smart home much more unique and much more interesting, and also enjoying the idea of using voice command to control my smart devices. Now, this is actually a glorified Bluetooth speaker. Yes, I said it. I hope Amazon people don't come for me, but this is a glorified Bluetooth speaker, but with a little bit of configuration, you can make it more than that, right? Now, Alexa is a voice service that is maintained and owned by Amazon. And that is actually the selling point of this device, because this device comes with Alexa. Now you can use Alexa on your phone. You can just download the Alexa app on your phone and use it normally and use the voice service. You can buy other Amazon devices like the Amazon Echo Dots, which is just a speaker that gives you the Alexa feature. But this is much more interesting because it comes with a very loud speaker. This speaker is wonderful. I'll give them that. This speaker is wonderful. I love the bars of this speaker. And it also comes with smart display, which is a touchscreen display. Now, the main feature is the fact that I can give Alexa command, and Alexa can execute those commands via voice command. I'm going to show you guys shortly. But before that, let's talk about what is on this device. So at the top of this device here, you have the camera cover slider here. So basically, if you're concerned about security, you can actually just cover your camera. I don't know if you guys can notice this. You can notice this, right? So in case you're bothered about somebody hacking into your system and watching what you do in the house, you can just cover the camera with this slider here. And yeah, that's because this device comes with a camera. Now, at the top, you have your volume button, and finally, you have your power button, which also serves as your button to turn off the microphone. Now, if I say Alexa right now, it's not responding because I have this button turned on. But if I press this button and I say, Alexa, are you there?
I'm here. I listen once I hear the wake word.
So that is one beautiful feature about this device. So for security purpose, you can shut off the camera and you can also shut off the microphone. Now, by default, the Alexa Oh, sorry, let me turn it off. Okay. Now, by default, Alexa is compatible with some smart devices in the market. There's some very few selected smart devices, right? And most of the devices are Wi-Fi devices. If you want to connect to like Zigbee devices like this, you might have to use like a Zigbee hub in your house, right? The way I'm controlling my devices via Alexa is with a little bit of configuration on the Home Assistant side of things and some other complexity which I don't want to explain right now. I have Alexa communicating straight to Home Assistant. So when I say Alexa should turn on my TV or Alexa should turn on my fan, she's actually sending that command to Home Assistant, and Home Assistant is the one turning on or turning off those devices. So Alexa is not directly controlling those devices. She's controlling those devices because she's connected to Home Assistant. So when I say turn on my fan, turn on my TV, Alexa is sending those commands to my Home Assistant, and my Home Assistant is doing the control and monitoring. And because the device also has a screen, it also means that I can actually view the dashboard of Home Assistant right from this device. So if I don't want to open Home Assistant dashboard for my system or for my phone, I can actually open it on this device. Now, this is another feature that is not something that comes out of the box with Alexa or with this Echo device, right? It's something that I have to set up myself using AWS Lambda and some other technologies, right? And so right now I can simply say, Alexa, open dashboard viewer. And once I do that, I have access to the Home Assistant dashboard. As you guys can see, I don't know if you guys can see this clearly, but this is the same dashboard I was showing you on my system. So from here, I can turn on and off my TV. From here, I can turn on my fan. So like I click on this, my fan is going to come up. And I can also see the temperature of my house here. So basically, this is the Home Assistant dashboard. This is not something that you would get on a brand new Echo device, right? This is something that I configured myself, right? So now I have three different options to access the dashboard for Home Assistant. I have my system, I can access from my phone, and I can also access from the display on Alexa. Now, that is my setup. Now, like I said, there are several ways to go about setting up a smart home or an home automation system, but this is what I use currently, and these are the devices I have in my network. And this is just the beginning, right? This is something I just started last year, December, and I'm open to make it more complex, make it more interesting, and make it much more smart, right? Now, I want to talk about some of the features. So you might be asking, or you might still be wondering, what is the advantage of all these things, right? Aside from the fact that I can control my device by clicking on a screen or control my device using voice command, there's a lot of advantages, right? And the very first one is power saving, right? Or energy saving. Now, if you're using a prepaid meter, having your fridge or AC on all the time is going to take a lot of energy, which means you're going to pay a lot of money at the end of the day, right? And we all know that it is not necessary for you to have your AC on all the time, or your fan on all the time, or your fridge on all the time, right? Sometimes it is good for you to, at interval, turn off and turn on your freezer or your fridge or your refrigerator, right? Now, but instead of doing that manually, or sometimes you even forget, right? You can, from your Home Assistant or from any other home automation dashboard you are using, you can actually set things like what we call scenes, right? Or routines, like say something like every 5 p.m. turn off my freezer, and every 1 a.m. turn the freezer on back, right? Or you can say something like turn off my fan when my temperature is less or more than a particular degree Celsius, right? So by setting routines to automatically turn on and off this device, you save a lot of power and you pay less money for your prepaid meter or for power. So that alone is a very wonderful advantage of home automation, and trust me, I think that is something that anybody should want in the house, because we are all about saving money, right? Now, the second thing about home automation or smart home is the ease that comes with it. Imagine you are on your couch and you want to on your fan or your AC and you don't want to stand up because you're tired or sick. You can simply say, Alexa, do this for me, and Alexa is going to do it for you, right? Now, you can go as far as adding a smart vacuum in your house, right? So you can have a smart vacuum in your house that sweeps or vacuums your house for you. So you can sit on your couch and say, hey, vacuum cleaner, clean my house, or vacuum my floor, and the vacuum cleaner is going to vacuum everything. That is also a smart home and home automation idea, right? So it comes in a lot of ease, right? The ability to control your devices from your couch or from your bed, right? And even the ability to control your device remotely when you're not at home. Imagine you want to pump water, you want to turn on your pumping machine and you're not at home. You can do that right from your phone, which is something I do with Home Assistant with a little bit of configuration. Also, you can make Home Assistant accessible from the internet. So this dashboard I showed you, you can actually access it from anywhere in the world. So ease, automation, and power saving or energy saving are just few of the advantages of smart home or home automation. And the fact that it's also cool and makes you cool. Imagine someone step into your house and you can say, Alexa, do this, Alexa, do this. Or imagine, your girlfriend comes around, you can say, Alexa, turn off the lights. Alexa, do you know you can go as far as controlling your TV stations or your TV apps from your smart home app. I can say, Alexa, go to Netflix. I can say, Alexa, play me a YouTube video. I can say, Alexa, play me music, right? For instance, I can say this to Alexa. Alexa, show me my playlist. Alexa, show me my playlist.
Showing playlists from your Amazon Music library.
Alexa, play Nigerian Afro beats.
We don't cast, last. Now everybody go to breakfast.
That was too loud, but you get the point. Aside from controlling my devices, I can also tell Alexa to play me music, tell me jokes, or do other interesting stuff. Now, that brings us to the end of this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I also hope that it kind of inspires you to go into home automation. However, if you're having difficulties setting any of these things in your house, you can contact a professional, right? I do that for people. I actually have clients that I actually set up home automation or smart home automation for them in their house, right? So usually that's the best way, and that's the way most people go about it. They get an expert to do these things for them and they just use the service, right? But if you are someone who is technical, you can use Home Assistant, set it up yourself, and do these things yourself. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I know this is a long video, but I just had to cover all these things once and for all. So in the future, I'm going to be making much more detailed tutorials for those people who are technical and are willing to get their hands dirty and then experiment with these things, right? Now, however, it's important to note that there are other easier options to go about setting up a smart home, which is contacting an expert or going for much more friendly ecosystem. So guys, I'm going to see you guys in the next video, and please, if you've not done this yet, please subscribe, like this video, and most importantly, please share this video, because I know you have somebody in your contact out there that might be interested in this content. So guys, I will see you in the next video, and thank you very much. Peace.